Hello, everybody. I am Randams, and this is Minecraft. Today, I'm going to be on the Enderbound Chronicles, talking about basically what's been happening, what's going on. I wanted to make more videos, but I was having some recording issues, and I had some corrupt files. So I'm going to go over the history of the server, what's happened so far, and what is going on. So we start the journey here at spawn. As you can see, spawn is a little war-torn. We will get to that in a moment. So this is a modded server with about 230 mods. It is, yeah, it is what it is. So now we come on over here to RB1. This was a base that was first made by Proxyvert, James, and I. It was a few hundred blocks northeast of spawn. It was meant to be, we were supposed to have this be our main base, but as you can see, it's a little destroyed. So basically, there was this. When we first started the world, there were these tripods, a force of corruption in the world. It was meant to be, a rare event that happens maybe every now and then, but these tripods were everywhere. These walls were meant to be symmetrical, but we had to make them in a rush job because we were getting destroyed by the tripods. And then it turned out the tripods could walk right through the walls. So the walls ended up being useless. So then we had to move underground where we got soft locked by the tripods because turns out we had half a dozen of them sitting around our base. So then we moved into this small little hole. And now we couldn't go up because of the tripods. And we couldn't go down. But if we go down here, we have what we refer to as the mantle caves. Now, at the time, we had no armor, maybe a piece of iron or two or silver. But down here, nothing spawning yet, but you get murmurs, skeletons, redcoats, centipedes, a lot of very deadly things. Which we couldn't come down here because we could go maybe 100 blocks from our water stream and then we would, well, die. I once went about 500 blocks away. Took us like 20 minutes to get my loot back, and then I went across the lava lake here. Took me an hour to get my stuff back with no help. That was fun. But eventually, because the tripods had many people soft locked, the tripods were removed from the server. And so the base was looking good back then. I rebuilt all the walls, patched some things up, got rid of mostly gravestones. You can see a few of them still floating around here. But the base was looking good again. It was back to how we wanted it. And then we were going to start terraforming. You can see I started to do some of it over here. I was going to get the whole base down to one level and make like a dome where I was going to have dragons. And then disaster struck. Unbeknownst to me, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know there was a corruptor and a tier 1 and all that stuff yet, which I will get to in a little bit on who they are. But James had me come and help him, and we raided this building. I thought this was just like a normal dungeon that was added. It was not. After a lot of deaths, we wound up coming in here. And then I turned, well, yeah, we came in here, we went down, got to these main rooms. This is the room everything went south. Came in here, we killed all the zombies and all that, and then this horde came around. I didn't know what the horde was. I was like, okay, just a little bit of skulk, I'm not really too sure what the horde is. And then it started spreading, and James like, oh, we woke up the horde. I was like, the horde? He's like, yeah, the horde. And then I finally learned out what was going on. So we have Impasta. He is, well, I don't know his official title. I've been told, I forget. I call him the corrupt one. He doesn't necessarily fight for the skull, but the skull is what keeps him alive. If he dies, he respawns at the skull. Now, James, he's what we refer to as the pure one. He's trying to purify the world, get rid of the skull, make it not spread. So, not too long after the horde was released, it started spreading. It started just on the mountain over here. Just on the mountain, it wasn't bad, and then it kept spreading and spreading and spreading. It went over there and just kept on spreading. And then it started coming to my base and infecting my walls. Started over on this side with the big chunk of sculpt that's still left. It just kept coming and coming. And I asked James, I'm like, is this something that's going to be taken care of? He's like, yeah, it's going to take a while though. And it got to the point where we started getting trapped in our base because every time we try and leave, it'd activate the horde, which would then start spawn killing us. And so, me and Proxy, we packed up and we left. We left RB1. We moved 3,000 blocks further northeast, more north than east. And we made what I had envisioned the whole time, a symmetrical dome where I can house dragons and not have to worry about the skull or anything like that. And so the dome was created, RB2. Is it the most spectacular build? No. Am I happy with it? Yes. I am not a builder, so this, is not something I'm good at. That's why it's, plain dome. What it did take was a lot of terraforming. So this back wall, at the very top, it was layers of stone and dirt all the way down to where the door is. In the end, it winded up being almost 10,000 blocks I had to mine out with iron tools. It took me about 3 days, 10 hours a day to make the walls and mine out the interior, which included the little river slash pond and the 2 floors. The upper floor, which is where we at first had our main living areas until we ran out of space. And then we moved down here to what has become our main living area with all of our loot. And then over time, I made the dome and what I have called the security room, where behind me, I'm not going to show it, I keep logs of all the incidents that have happened, which I'll get to in a little bit. And it has controls for all the turrets, which there is a reason for the turrets. I will get to that. But first, before any of that, I had started the create section of my base. It started out with the windmill, and I had, a few little tools so I can make a few things. I had built a tree farm, which I currently do not have running as it is full on storage, and a wheat farm, which supplies me with all my food. It was much later because then I focused more on dragons, where I will show you my dragons here shortly. But I then created a boiler, which thank you to shout out to Proxyvert for helping with the boiler because I had no clue what I was doing. He had more of a clue, just not a huge clue. He was also just experimenting with things, but he knew more than me. So thank you, Proxy, for the help there. And yeah, we built the create. We have most of this is meant to be to make blaze cakes, hence the chicken farm, sugarcane farm, and over here is a netherrack farm. So using those and our lava farm, which was also going to be used as a lava supply for Proxyvert, as he was playing as an automaton from Origins. He has since changed to a Valkyrie because, well, automaton not fun. And so the main point, the first thing I had built with the boiler was an iron farm, because we were out of iron and we needed a lot of it. So an iron farm was built. And thus we have the create area. And then I made this tree farm over here. I spent a few hours in a creative world making this tree farm. And now I was going to make it for a community plaza. I was going to have a wood shop there, cheap prices, just that people could get wood and build what they want. The plaza has just been shut down recently, which I will get to. There are reasons for that. That is more the story that I'm going to be telling in this episode. So this is RB2. Now I had just the base and I think the windmill when we get to the next part of the story. So for the next part of the story, I'm going to be back at Spawn Village here. So a fierce battle ensued. You had James, who is attempting to kill the Horde and purify the world. Well, you had Impasta, who was trying to stop it, although Impasta did not play as long as James. In this, Impasta paid the admin, Bullet's Legion, to take stuff from James to try and slow him down. As far as I'm aware, Legion did not take anything. I would have to fact check that though. So Impasta, due to, well, inactivity, got outbeat by James. So you had this fierce battle over here where the Skulk was fighting the Nether, hence giving us a pretty cool looking spawn village if you ask me. And so James, as I said, has won. He spent hours upon hours and over 900 deaths, getting to the point where he was able to kill the Horde. As you can see, there are still remnants of the Horde as the world has not been completely purified. News of the Horde's ending and the killing of the Horde came during the grand opening of Cafe Ula Ula. This is a cafe made by stars. It is meant to be a neutral place where anybody can come. No fighting is allowed, no armor is allowed. It's just meant for people to be able to come and get free food. And so we were all sitting around this table. There were quite a few of us. And all of a sudden, a noise was heard throughout the world. And we got a little text saying that the Horde has been killed. A few minutes later, here comes James waltzing in. And then a confrontation between James, the pure one, and Impasta, the corrupt one, ensued. I did at one point have a recording of this, but thanks to some audio issues, there was no audio recorded. So that wound up being useless. Very unfortunate. Would have been cool to post. So after the Horde was killed and James and Impasta had their confrontation, Impasta was said to be killed. It was said to be that he was going to be permadead, which turned out to be not true, as he shortly came back, revived by the Skulk, as the Skulk had not been completely terminated. And James, he laid to rest. James packed up all of his things and laid down in his tomb, which apparently has been raided since. But this was a tomb. And that was the end of James's story. James died with the killing of the Skunk. The era of James was done. An era of peace that ensued after the killing of the Horde. Impasta, fearing for his life, went on the run. Well, the only one that was really going after him, James, had laid to rest, unbeknownst to Impasta. And then there was a time of quiet, prosperity, building, growing. It was all calm until Impasta, seeing that no one was going after him, came out of hiding and started causing problems, trying to revive the horde, which was which still had not been killed because our the pure one, James, had laid to rest. There was no one left to purify the horde. So it's still spread. Slower, but still spreading. And then a new pure one, Jade, came about, preparing for the war that is about to ensue between the corrupt and the pure. And now, according to some spies, which is at this point, I'd like to say, if there is anyone from the server that is watching, this is now the time when you should stop watching, as I don't want secrets being spread. Because I'm gonna talk about some of the current things that are going on, and it is stuff that neither side should hear because it might have secrets about the other side. Stop watching. Hopefully they're gone. So through allies, what I first should say is I have remained neutral through all of this. And it's not neutral. I have been an neutral entity. I have gathered information from either side and then shared it with the opposing side. So I'd get information from James and give it to Impasta, and then I'd get information from Impasta, give it to James. I did tell both of them flat out that I was doing this, and neither of them cared. So I just kept on doing it. Until recently, when an ally of mine told me that Impasta is planning on placing some nukes at my base. Wait, hold on. Should probably sleep. Damn it. There we go. Well, we're good. All right, back where I was. Impasta was planning on planting nukes in my base. So if I ever decided to help James, he was going to blow up my base. This was the start of the turning point for me. I spent hours, days making my base. And Impasta, who remember I've been neutral, is now threatening to destroy my base if I show a sign of having a side towards James. This infuriated me. And so with that, a secret organization has been formed. We call ourselves the Whiskey Force. We are brand new. Our goal, if we get attacked, we attack back harder and relentlessly. Our plan, find Impasta's base, plant it with nukes, and then never let him live again. If he wants to come after us for trying to help Jade, he can. He not only has the admin on his side, he also has what we believe is 5 others on his side. James has no one. So as of now, it's a 6v1. And I would just like to say the Whiskey Force is not on James's side. Or Jade's side. Jade is against the Horde, the Skull. We do not side with the Skull or the Horde. We do not side with Jade. Jade may join us, but we are not against Skulk and the Horde. We will not work on purifying the world. Our one goal is to get rid of a tyrant, Impasta, who thinks that it is okay to hold nukes over our head if we help someone. Now, don't ask me, but I'm pretty sure that goes against the Geneva Conventions. I did not research this, but I'm pretty sure it does, okay? And so the goal of the Whiskey Force is more or less peace for all. We work in secret. We have a base that is over 15,000 blocks away. We are comprised of a few members. We are not a big force, as no one can be trusted. Not Impasta, not Legion, not even the Holy One himself. Stars. He claims neutrality, but we cannot be certain of his neutrality. As so far, he has shown a lot of respect towards Impasta, even let Impasta stay at his base, even when he knew Impasta was stealing from him, and yet has shown none of the same hospitality to James or Jade. So the Pier One, turned away by his own grandfather, Stars claims neutrality. We don't believe him. As of now, the Whiskey Force has 4 members. Where it plans to stay until we can fully clear people. It's no other run and do some things. I'm gonna talk about a few more things going on the server. Okay, so that's where the story is currently. You got the Whiskey Force opposing Impasta, and you got Jade who's imposed on the Horde. And then you got Impasta and his allies, who are against everyone. They are trying to corrupt the world, corrupt all the bases, make a dictatorship. I don't think his allies quite realize what they have gotten themselves into. But I know. I've seen it happen before. I know what will happen. So at this point, I'm going to just show you my dragons. I got one of each dragon, which I did on purpose for the dragon forges, and just because I want to. Got the fire dragon. I do not have names for these, as I'm a very uncreative person, hence the dome base. So if anyone does have names for them, let me know. This is the lightning dragon, and we got the big boy. Ooh. The ice dragon. Oh no. Dude, ice dragon, no. There we go. All of them 3 different sizes because I use them for different things depending on where I have to go in the world. Yeah, we have these pesky dragonflies. There's a lot of them. They cause lag. It's fun. So, the community plaza. What happened with the community plaza? Why is it shut down? What happened there? So, as you saw on my base, I have a lot of turrets set up. Essentially, what first started happening was I noticed some expensive items of mine started going missing. You know, items from my valuables chest, items that I worked hard to get. I would go to grab them because I have a pretty decent memory of what I would have in my chest. I'd go to grab them and they were gone. I was like, okay. And I wouldn't obviously start accusing people right away. I'd ask Proxyvert first because he does live with me if he took the stuff and he used them, which is no issue. We live together. We share stuff. He said he did not, which was then when I had my suspicions that someone started stealing from me. And then the top of my iron farm, where that skull is now, was completely blown up. I, asked around people. Obviously, no one said anything happened. And so someone just started briefing and stealing from me. And so it started with me just putting up 2 turrets. I have these 2 in here. I was like, these should be enough. They were not. And so then, my door used to be able to be opened by anyone. I made it so it can only be opened with the remote, which only me and Proxyvert have. And so I added these 2 turrets. Well, that wasn't enough. I was finding holes in my roof, and not from Enderman, like they were obvious signs that my base had been blown up once or twice. And I was finding stuff missing still. And so more turrets got put up around the base, and I now even have turrets out here by the crate stuff. And I have a few secret turrets too that no one knows about, not even Proxy. Now I know Proxy is stealing from me, which is why he's in these books, which only I can access. That gives him a blacklist that he doesn't get targeted by these. And so he's on the safe list of all of them because I know it's not him, because we share everything. But someone still, despite all of that, kept stealing from me. And then I learned through one of my spies, I'm not going to say who my spy is in case any of the players on here are still listening, which they shouldn't be. But if they are, I'm not going to say who my spy is. My spy told me that people are still coming to my base and stealing items from me. I think one of the big ones is my iron. Because this should be about here by now. It is not. But someone is still stealing from me. So my spy informed me that they are coming through the community plaza. And so the community plaza was meant to be a place where everyone could come, built by the community for the community. It's a global spot. Anyone could come in here, make a building for any mod. They can take a trip on the train and go over to the shopping district and make a shop. It's supposed to be fun like that, just that everyone had a spot to where we could gather around, be neutral, and just help each other. But I've been told that this waypoint here is what is causing all the issues. People are teleporting to it and then walking over to my base. I built the plaza close so that I could keep a stock of the wood. I was going to have a train that goes around so I could keep the wood stocked all the time. So I made it close to my base. That failed, obviously, because people have decided to use it to steal and grief, which, by the way, does go against the server rules. And only grief if you're at war with someone. I'm a neutral party. I'm not at war. Well, I should say I used to be a neutral party. But because people haven't let me remain neutral, I am now not going to be neutral. But it's going to be a secret on neutrality, but my presence, everyone is still going to be neutral. So, yeah, that's why the community plaza is being closed down permanently, because people can't stop stealing from me, which is really annoying. Why, people? Why can't you just have decency and honesty? And so that is where the server sits today. Now, I'm going to say something again about a few people, which is not supposed to be taken. These are not accusations. These are just things that multiple people have noticed and that we have talked about that we think is true. We don't have any proof that it is true. So if you're listening, that's one of the people that are listening that probably shouldn't be. Don't take offense to any of this. But you can see I have a good gun, maxed out weapons, maxed out armor, maxed out dragons, weapons all over my base, a big base. But that did not come from nothing. We go to statistics. Time played, 8.36 days. And this is what I have. Our admin has nowhere near as much time as me, and somehow he has okay, well, he moved on, but he did have like 20 plus dragons here, maxed out weapons, killed every boss in this game somehow, and somehow is more advanced than me, with having like 1/8 of the playtime. Someone explain that to me. Not even the other players who have close to the same playtime as me have gone as far as me into some of these mods. The closest one is Stars, which is why he's the holy one. He has all the Eldritch spells, all the really good spells. He's the only one he's the closest to me in playtime, and he's pretty close with me with the amount of stuff he has. But then somehow Legion is miles ahead of us, and has absolutely everything already. No clue how. Only thing we've come up with is admin abuse. I'm not claiming it's admin abuse, but that is what it looks like as of now. And then we have Impasta. He, I believe, has done everything legit, from what we can tell. He has spent his time actually going around. His main thing has been getting nukes. That's about all he's done, besides getting the Tremorzilla, which is, he thinks it's like this super powerful being, but with some of the guns I have, I can take it down in like a dozen shots, so I'm not worried about it. Proxyvert has a minigun that can probably, tear through it. So I'm not worried about it whatsoever. It's one of those things where it is what it is. If he ever uses it to attack me, well, that thing's gonna die. That's for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, we fought two of the bosses, and well, I'm just saying they were easy. Like, I think the most health I lost was like 2 hearts or something. Not much at all. It was. I don't think they're as strong as Impasta thinks they are. Yeah, that's about the floor of the server. I'm gonna go here to Whiskey Forest. As you can see, this is Whiskey Forest. It is a small room. I will not touch F3 as I don't want to leak the cords. But yeah, this is all it is. It's all we are. And again, we are not against the Horde. We're not against the Skulk. We are purely against Impasta. Because he is threatening us with nukes. And so we want to be even with him. And so we are going to threaten him with our own nukes. That is our plan. That is our goal. So yeah, that is the Enderbound Chronicles. Am I missing stuff in the story? Yes. Are these things that, up to when I told everyone to get off, that they can probably, clarify in the comments? Absolutely. I don't know everything. This is just from my perspective. And this is stuff that's happened over the past month. Of course, I've forgotten things. Of course, things slipped my mind while I was doing this. I did not have a script when I told the story. This was all just off the top of my head. So yes, there is stuff I missed. I think I got the majority of the important things, the important points that happened. Yeah, that is the Enderbound Chronicles. So this is where I will probably leave the first episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you do have any questions about the server, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them in the comments. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day or night, whichever it is for you.